Hi there. In the last video, we covered the analog inputs of the PR. Today, as promised, we will focus on the analog outputs. Depending on the modification and model of your PR, the analog output can operate in one of the following modes: a 0 to 10 volt or a 4 to 20 milliamp current signal. Some devices also have universal outputs, where the mode can be selected programmatically in ALP from the same two options, 0 to 10 volts or 4 to 20 milliamps. For today's video, I have a PR200 powered by 220 volts, equipped with a 0 to 10 volt analog output. According to the connection diagram for this analog output, which I reference from the PR user manual, you need to connect the appropriate signals from the power supply to the V+ and V- terminals. For this purpose, I used the built-in power supply on my PR, which provides 24 volts. However, this power supply is not very powerful and is primarily intended for powering sensors connected to the analog inputs. As a result, the V- and V+ terminals are typically connected to an external power supply. For this demonstration, we will connect the load to the V- and AO1 terminals, as we are using the analog output 1. If you want to use the second analog output, you would connect the load to the V- and AO2 terminals. On these terminals, you will receive a voltage ranging from 0 to 10 volts. To verify the accuracy of the signal at the analog output, we will use a multimeter. Now, let's move to ALP. I've already created a project for our PR, so let's locate analog output number 1. In both the PR and PRM expansion modules, analog outputs are controlled by a signal ranging from 0 to 1. This represents the relative power of the analog output, regardless of whether it's a 0 to 10 volt or a 4 to 20 milliamp output. Accordingly, 0 corresponds to the minimum value, 0 volts or 4 milliamps, and 1 corresponds to the maximum value, 10 volts or 20 milliamps. Intermediate values can be set by adjusting the analog output signal to any value between 0 and 1. To control the output power, let's create a local variable, which we will set from the PR screen. For the operator's convenience, we'll display the power of this analog output as a percentage, ranging from 0 to 100, instead of using relative units from 0 to 1. To do this, we'll create a floating point variable and name it, for example, power. Before connecting this variable to the analog output, we'll use the floating point division block to divide it by 100, converting the value from 0 to 100% into a range from 0 to 1. If we were setting this variable in volts, say from 0 to 10 volts, we would divide it by 10 instead. In summary, the key point to remember is that the variable connected to the analog output must always be scaled to the 0 to 1 range. Now, let's move to the Screen Manager and add an I/O box for integers and real data to our screen. We'll bind the power variable to it, configuring it to display 4 digits with 1 decimal place. This setup allows us to adjust the power from 0 to 100% with a precision of 0.1. We'll edit the parameter and enable the option to set it directly from the screen. Now, I'll power on the PR, connect it to ALP and upload this project. Let's see how it works. At the moment, the variable controlling the analog output is set to 0, so the analog output is also at 0. Using the multimeter, we confirm that the output voltage is indeed 0 volts. Next, let's change the variable's value. By pressing the Select button, I'll adjust the desired digit, such as the tens place, and set the power to 50%. In the program, this 50% is divided by 100, resulting in a value of 0.5, which is sent to the analog output. This should produce 5 volts at the analog output. Using the multimeter, we confirm the output voltage is very close to 5 volts. Let's try another value, such as 75%. The multimeter should show 7.5 volts, and indeed it reads the value with good accuracy. I think you'll agree that working with the analog outputs of the PR is even simpler than connecting signals to the analog inputs. I'm confident you won't have any trouble with this next time. But if you do, don't hesitate to reach out to our support team with any questions. We're always here to help. Don't forget to leave comments under our videos and subscribe to our channel. We're always delighted to see your reactions. See you next time.